What's going on, everybody? It's Chris from the Bass Channel, and today on Basic Gear Review we're taking a look at the JUNE-60 chorus from TC Electronic. I'm also pleased to announce that today's episode is sponsored by thebassist.net. If you head over to thebassist.net/basschannel or click the link in the description below, you'll get an exclusive discount off of your first billing cycle. We'll talk about all that later, but for right now, let's check out the JUNE-60. As per usual, we're going to hear a bunch of different tones from a bunch of different basses and a bunch of different players. I got the website queued up to read off some facts, and at the end I'm going to give you my opinion on what I think of the pedal. So if that's worth anything to you, stick around to the end of the video. But for now, let's burn down some facts. The JUNE-60 chorus is a faithful recreation of the lush chorus circuit found in the legendary JUNE-60 synthesizer. The iconic synth sound that fueled countless 80s hits and defined the cult movie themes of an entire era. Now you can bring the adored chorus sound from one of the most revered classic synthesizers back to the future. But don't worry, we're keeping it old school. Well, they're definitely not kidding, they totally nailed the aesthetic. Now that sound sample that you just heard is by my good friend Jayme Lewis over at thebassist.net. If you've never been to thebassist.net, it's a really cool website filled with educational material, jam tracks, PDFs for lessons, Jayme's music, and most importantly my favorite, Ignite musical training. It's a 12-week course with both video and PDF components. I've already watched the first two and have learned quite a bit, so if you want to come over and learn with me, head over to thebassist.net/basschannel for an exclusive discount off of your first billing cycle. Now let's get back to the JUNE-60. All right, let's run down the controls. You got no knobs, 2 buttons labeled 1 and 2. 1 is going to be a more subtle chorus, where 2 is going to have a little bit more wobble to it. Or you can run both together to get both sounds in parallel. Up at the top, we've got a mono stereo switch. Now, I didn't run it in stereo because I'm guessing, based on the top here, output mono stereo, maybe I think you might need a Y cable. I don't have one of those. So if you have a Y cable and a stereo rig, I'm sure this sounds awesome, but it sounds pretty good in mono too. True bypass. You got your top mounted jacks. It runs 9-volt DC center negative, 100 milliamps. Okay, cool. All standard traditional stuff. So let's hear a couple more sounds. Another thing the website mentions is that this pedal uses an all-analog bucket brigade circuit. Bucket brigade is very difficult to say. I've been struggling with it all morning, but nonetheless, it's in here, so that's pretty cool. And that just about burns down the facts, so now let's get into my impressions of the pedal. The first time I saw this was at GitCon 2018, I think it was October of 2018, and it was just before launch, and I remember immediately being just blown away by the aesthetics. I mean, this thing looks awesome. Tonally, I probably wouldn't buy it. Maybe if I had like a synth rig, which I do, I just don't know where it is. I have a micro synth somewhere, I think Nick has it. But if I had a synth rig, probably totally put this in the chain just to kind of get that authentic kind of synth vibe. As a standalone chorus, I think you can do much better. In my opinion, the DC2 eats this alive. Keeping it with the TC Electronic, you can go with the Third Dimension, which is their version of the DC2. Sounds pretty close to the DC2, but I prefer that style chorus or just a traditional. I think TC has the Afterglow. So if you're looking for a standalone chorus, this probably isn't for you just because it's a little limited. I wasn't personally a fan of both choruses together. There's a couple uses for it, but overall I kind of like either one or two. I'm not a big fan of both of them. So again, this is probably not going to go on my board. This is going to go on my wall because it looks fantastic. I really like the aesthetic. Tone, it's not bad, it's just not my thing. I want knobs and I want a little bit more tweakability. So again, if you have a synth rig and you really want to nail that synth chorus sound, this is totally the way to go. It feels, you know, it's solid. Oh, another thing that I wanted to bring up is I don't like the switches on this line of TC pedals because on typical switches, once it's fully depressed, I slipped. Once it's fully depressed, the effect turns on. There's a delay, so let's say the effect is off, you push it down, it's still off, and now it's on. So it's a little weird to get used to that. I like it to turn on as soon as the pedal goes down. That's a minor thing. All of this line of TC pedals has that, so whether you got the Blood Moon or the Nether or the Third Dimension or I don't know, there's so many of them now. They all have that function. So if you've never owned this line of TC pedals, look out for that. But again, otherwise, looks fantastic. Sounds decent, not for standalone, but this is going on the wall for sure. And that just about wraps it up. If you guys like this video and you want to see more, please consider subscribing. You can also head over to Patreon to get more exclusive content, and somewhere right about here is a video that YouTube has decided is best suited for you. So until next time, I'm Chris from the Bass Channel, and thanks for watching.